So you want to buy a chainsaw, huh? What recommendation would I have? What chainsaw to buy? Well, buy all of them. Welcome back, everybody. Well, I get that question a lot. What chainsaw to buy? What manufacturer? What should I spend on a chainsaw? And I always ask people the same kind of questions. It's just not the saw that you're buying for your first chainsaw, or maybe your only chainsaw. But there's a lot of other things that go with it. There's a lot of accessories that you need to buy, and that it's just not a nice thing to have, but they are things that you actually really need to buy. What I always tell people is, don't buy your saw at the big box store. Don't go to Lowe's. If this is your first chainsaw, don't go to Lowe's. Don't go to Home Depot, Rural King, Tractor Supply. Don't go to those guys for your first chainsaw. You gotta understand that when you go to those big box stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, Rural King, Tractor Supply, any of those companies that sell saws, and typically a lot of guys will buy from there the homeowner style of saws from Husqvarna, or they'll have pull-in, or they'll have Echo. Echo's the big one. And they said, well, I have $500 to spend on a saw. And they pick up a saw and I'm good to go. Well, nothing's further from the truth. You have to understand that when you go to a big box store and you buy one of these saws and it breaks, or it doesn't work right, or it doesn't, out of the box, it's a crib death, or a myriad of other things. I'm not just picking on Husqvarna, but it's any brand itself that you go to those big box stores with. The service that you get, you'll notice that they say, don't bring it back to the store, call this number. And typically it will be a power equipment dealer that will answer the phone, or that the manufacturer has told you to go to in order to call to get this thing serviced or get it to be worked on. Now, what should I do then? Well, the best place to go is the power equipment dealer. You have to understand that when these saws need work, you got to go someplace for service. And if you don't have some type of good rapport with your power equipment dealer, you're kind of at the back of the line always when you go to any of those big box stores. Now, I hear from a lot of places that my power equipment dealer, those guys are always way too more expensive than anybody else. They will screw you to the end of the earth. Well, nothing is further from the truth. The power equipment dealer, unlike the big box stores where those guys don't know anything about chainsaws, they don't even know anything about nails or boards there. They just point you to, there's the chainsaws, and then you're on your own for that. The power equipment dealer will understand what your needs are, and you have to be honest with them. You have to say to the guy, you're not, Lumberjack Joe, who's going to be out there, I have $300 I need to spend, and I'm going to be a logger. And you're going to pick it up with this little 40cc saw? No. Okay? You have to be honest with those guys. Now, the first saw I ever bought, real saw, I bought the first one I bought was from Caldor, and it was an old Pullin, a Pullin 40cc saw. And I had that thing for many, 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 many years. And that saw was a piece of junk. And it was part and parcel because I beat it to death. I really learned a lot with that saw. And I really kind of beat it to death. And that saw was really only made for about 3 or 4 inch limbs. And I was cutting big stuff with it. I burned the clutch up in it. I did real bad stuff with it. And then I wanted to move up. So I went to a guy that that had a bunch of old Stihl saws. And he kind of took advantage of me. He went in and I bought a 026 Stihl, which is a great saw. before it was burned up, and I didn't know that it was burned up. It had very little compression. I was in love with the saw. I mean, it was really just a really bad piece of kit. I mean, it was just burned up. I mean, it had zero compression. I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Then I bought a 026, 03, 036, and that one I lent out to a guy, and that one got smashed. He dropped a tree on it, and he said I'd replace it, and I knew from where he wasn't going to replace it. And then I bought an 038 Super, and the old 38 Super was a beast. And I remember going into my still equipment dealer that I had not bought the saw from, and I took the 026 and the 038 to him because I thought that they had some issues. And he came and looked at me and said, the 026 is a piece of garbage. Don't worry about getting it fixed because it costs too much to fix. It costs more to you to fix than the saw is worth originally. Okay, the 038 Super, he quoted me some outrageous amount, and he basically said, this is what it costs, that's it. And I got kind of turned off by that dealer. I was really not feeling any love from the guy. I wasn't looking to be taken care of or anything like that. I was just looking for a nice rapport with him. And they basically said, this is what it costs. If you don't like it, hit the bricks. So I did. Then I went up to the power equipment dealer just up the street that had Husqvarna, and that's where I bought my first Pro saw. Hang on, let me get that saw for you just a second. Hang on. All right, so the first the first saw I bought from my Husky power equipment dealer was I think it was a 455 Farm Boss. It was their homeowner version of the saw, and I got it home, and I quickly found out that the stuff that I was doing, I was cutting up some rather large stuff. I had a 36-inch tree that had gone down, and I used the saw. The saw worked flawlessly. It was a great saw. It was just not what I was wanting. The 038 had a little more down-on grunt to it. So I wasn't really kind of honest with myself because I wanted to spend about $500 in my head. And everybody always goes, I'm on a budget. That just means when I hear I'm on a budget, that says to me that I want to get this $1,000 piece of equipment and only spend $500. That's what that means to me. Okay? A budget is whatever the numbers work out to be if you're honest. Okay? If you're inclined to be mechanically inclined, you go, well, I have $200 to spend for a saw. I know it's going to be burned up and I know how to fix it. That's the other half. And there's very little that's in between. So when I bought that saw, I didn't like it. It just wasn't the grunt that I wanted in a Pro saw. That 038 Super was a monster. It was a great saw. So I took it back, and luckily, that power equipment dealer who I still deal with today, took it back, and I said, I looked through the brochures, and I see this model, which is the 372. Now, this is I don't know how to say it is a legacy saw. The 371, 372, and now which is the predecessor to this, which is the 572. I still love this saw. This is really still a holy grail saw. And this thing is a beast. I absolutely love it. And this is what got me into the Pro side of Husqvarna saws. Now, it was almost double. It's probably double the price of what it was because this is a 70cc model saw. It's a Pro saw, and it was way different than what I had originally shelled out for. So this 372, of which I still use today, this this is my baby. This is my baby. I love it. I treat it well. So develop a rapport with your power equipment dealer. They understand what your needs are, what your expectations of yourself are. You just can't go in there and go, well, I want a saw that I'm going to knock down trees with. Okay. And you live in a, in a neighborhood community with a homeowners group, and that won't let you happen. So you kind of got to be honest with them, and you got to say, okay, look, I'm a new homesteader. I got a bunch of stuff. I'm going to do firewood for my house. I'm going to sell firewood or whatever itself, and that takes on a whole other level of challenges itself in knowing how to fall trees. Your power equipment dealer will get to know you, your needs, and all that kind of fun stuff, and will get you the good, better, and best type of scenario itself. Develop a rapport with them. I've been going on with my power equipment dealer now for 20 some years, and I still am there once a month, easy once a month, either getting whatever accessories. But once you have developed a rapport with a dealer, I know Husqvarna, that when you go to the big box stores, the price for the saws are the same as the power equipment dealer. They don't have a Home Depot price or a Lowe's price or a Royal King or a Tractor Supply place, and the power equipment dealers have another price. They're both priced the same. The difference that you might run into is the power equipment dealer, because they're not buying hundreds of thousands of these for multiple hundred locations, those guys might have a better package. So instead of just buying a saw, they'll have like a Sawyer's package or something like that. And that is the most important thing that you need to understand. And that brings me into my next point itself. So let me move some stuff around a little bit and we'll talk about that. All right, so when you go to your power equipment dealer and you have a certain price that is in your head, I have $500 I want to spend on a saw. Okay, typically that will get you into a mid or upper level homeowner saw. It's not to the $600-700 line that you get into the professional models. Every brand that I know of, major brands, still Husqvarna, Echo, have basically two tiers. I think Husqvarna still kind of have a three kind of process: a homeowner saw, a prosumer saw, and the full-on professional saws themselves. Where I think Echo has a homeowner and professional saws, and you can go into their brochures for that. But you go into your power equipment dealer and you say, hey, I want to buy a 50cc saw. Hey, I want to spend $500 on a saw. And you walk out of there at $800. Well, what just happened? Well, I'll tell you. There's a couple of things when you buy your first chainsaw that you must buy. And that is safety equipment. Now, when you do anything, when you go golfing, say, I'm going to start up golfing. It's just not the clubs. You need to buy the clubs. You need to buy the bag. You need to buy the shoes. An outfit, okay? How about the balls, the tees? So when you first start golf, it's terribly expensive. When you first start anything, try shooting, try, I don't know, diamond painting. I don't know. Whatever that is, when you start something, your entry cost is way higher, especially like camping. Holy smokes. Tent, sleeping bag, everything else in between. And it's the same way with a chainsaw. So when you walk out of there with a number in your head of $500 for the saw, okay, you didn't factor in the other part of the equation. So when you come home and your wife goes, hey, did you buy that chainsaw? And then she looks at your bank account. She goes, wait a minute, you spent all this money on what? Okay, you didn't think or plan ahead enough, okay, to think about that. A lot of power equipment dealers, when you go in to buy a first saw, they may have a packaged deal or a Sawyer pack or something like that that includes the saw, helmet. Okay, you need a helmet with a face shield. You absolutely need a face shield. Helmet, I always wear a helmet because I can't tell you how many times I've been limbing a tree and the limb has come down, or somebody else is trying to help me and they go to pull on the branch, and before I can let up on the saw, hit the brake, they've already broken the limb off of the tree itself, trying to help me as they're pulling down on it. You need hearing protection, okay? This is an all-in-one helmet, okay? You may think it's overkill, but all your levels of protection are right there, okay? Your hearing protection, your head protection, and your eye protection, okay? So this is 3 things in one. Just wearing a set of hearing protection, you can get them for 25 bucks. Okay, face shield, 25 bucks. Helmet, $50, $60, $70, okay? If you don't like this construction style of helmet, you can get a myriad of fancy, cool arborist helmets, okay? These helmets are anywhere between, I don't know, $80 and $100. Wait a minute. A $500 saw just went up to $600, okay? What's next? Well, you need a pair of chainsaw mitigation, okay? You need this pair. This just happens to be a pair of chainsaw chaps that I've had for, I don't know, a couple of years. This pair. Every couple of years I change these out because on the insides of these, okay, the threads, the protection in here tends to wear out, and so I replace these 5, 6 years, 3 years, probably 3, 4 years. I think this is my 3rd set of chainsaw mitigation pants, and you have to make sure that when you buy these pants that they are UL rated, okay? Jeans are not chainsaw mitigation. Logger pants that are denim are not chainsaw mitigation, okay? They will not protect you. These will protect you. These have a thread that is designed to go and gum up the chain in the saw very quickly. These, $80, $100. You just went up another $100, so you're at $700, okay? Now, what's the next thing you need? Fuel. Okay, fuel. Bar oil. I'm going to say this about bar oil. I've seen guys many times that say, my grandfather, he used to take old motor oil and put it in his chainsaw. Okay? That's the fastest way you can kill an oiling system in a chainsaw. Buy good chainsaw bar oil, okay? It does a couple things. 1, it saves the chain. 2, it saves the bar. 3, it keeps the whole system going. I don't care if this is $40 or $30, whatever. I don't even know what this costs. I don't even look at it because I know I need it. This is synthetic. They also have, I don't know what the other can is. Buy a good bar oil. Don't buy crap, okay? Just because it's $7, $8, whatever it is, buy a good bar oil, okay? It will save your bar, it will save your chain, it will save everything in its midst, okay? So, I don't know how much this even is. $25, $30, I don't know, okay? The next thing, the next big thing. I made a switch about 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, that I have now switched, not this brand, but these ready-to-mix fuels, okay? These ready-to-mix fuels do not contain ethanol. I just happen to get this just happens to be True Fuel. I typically buy Husqvarna, but my dealer at the time didn't have any. The dealer that carries VP didn't have any at the time, so I just happened to dig up that mix. It doesn't contain ethanol. Okay, ethanol. Now, the old timers are like, why are you buying that fancy fuel when you could put stuff in there? Well, because of ethanol. Ethanol, as soon as it hits these tanks and it hits the rubber and it hits the carburetor, it dries it out. It takes the ethanol that's in there, sucks all the pliability out of the plastics, out of the rubbers itself. It just happens to do it. Now, I see many people that say, you need to put stable in your tank. Okay? This is a storage. This only deals with the pH of the fuel. Okay? It doesn't deal with the ethanol that's in the fuel. Okay? That is always constantly eating the rubber. It's taking all of the pliable lubricity that makes it all nice and squishy out of the rubbers themselves. Now, I know manufacturers over the years have tried to change formulas. You have to remember that the rubbers that are in the carburetor itself, as they move, whatever that the carburetor whoozy what's it thingy has to move back and forth to suck the fuel through the carburetor itself. Those become very dry and very hard almost immediately. You could leave ethanol-based fuels in these saws for a month, come back and the saw will not start. Okay, it will not start. You have to dump the fuel out, purge the fuel system, pull it, and then it will start. But after that, you've done damage to that fuel system itself. All the fuel lines get hard. That ethanol that has leached into the rubbers, okay, is still continuing to harden that rubber up. So buy these fuels. Husqvarna makes it, Still makes it, Echo makes it. I think Echo is this brand. I don't know if Echo is this brand, but you can get it from VP. You can get it from a myriad of from manufacturers. But these are very expensive. $25, I want to say, $50 to $25. I think I don't know. I don't even care, because whatever this is, when I shove my card in, I don't look because it's painful. These are terribly expensive. But I know I can leave my saws for a year or longer. And it starts perfectly. My snowblower that I run, I have a CCR 2500, which is a single stage snow thrower from Toro. And I run that fuel in there. And I don't know when the last snow it is. I don't empty the tank out. I run that fuel in there, and it works every time. I never have a problem. It's pull the choke, prime it twice, pull it 3 or 4 times, and it starts perfectly every single time. Buy the fuel. So what's happened? My $500 saw, I need protection. I need the fuel. I need the bar oil. So when you come home with all of this stuff, your power equipment dealer has not screwed you or sold you a bunch of goods that you don't need. These are all necessities. The other thing, don't buy stable. Okay, I've never seen any real luck with stable itself. But your $500 saw has just turned into $800 venture, and you scratch your head going, I'm never going back to that power equipment dealer because those guys, they're just too damned expensive. No, they got you the stuff that you absolutely, positively, unequivocally need. So your budget for the saw may be $500, but you have to understand that there's certain other things that are necessities, not good to have, not need to have. Go to your power equipment dealer. Buy a set of chaps. Okay? Just don't buy the saw without the bar oil, without all the stuff. Okay? And think, I'll just get it cheaper for Amazon. Okay? Amazon typically will not ship this, okay? This is a hazardous material that they will not ship. Okay, a lot of places will not ship that. But what are some of the other things that you need with your chainsaw? What are some of the other things that you really, truly need to understand about chainsaws? Well, let's get into that a little more. Let me get one of these saws close, and we can get close to it, and we can understand what some of the things that we have to understand with chainsaws. So let me clear the bench off here and get this rocking and rolling. All right, so when you go to buy your chainsaw, there are a couple of absolute major things that you have to understand with a chainsaw. Just because this is an 18-inch bar doesn't mean that the chain is 18 inches. I can take probably 2 or 3 different bars by different manufacturers and say I have an 18-inch bar. That's not how they measure these. On the bar itself, there is nomenclature on all chainsaw bars. You'll notice with this Oregon that there's writing here. This writing will tell you the manufacturer, and it will give you many things. It tells me that the mount size for this Husqvarna is a K mount. More importantly, it tells me on here that this is a 50 gauge, okay? That this bar itself is 50 gauge. It tells me that the cutter itself is 3/8, that it will accept a 3/8, okay? And that this is a 68 drive link, okay? That is, if I show you on this chain, the anatomy of the chain, okay, of course. Let me just... Okay, so when they talk about a couple of things. One, they talk about 68 drive links. Okay, they're talking about these. Okay, these are the drive links. Down below here. See those? Those are the drive links. The 3/8 happens to deal with the top cutter here, and the 50 gauge deals with the thickness of the chain itself. Chains come in different styles. Okay, they have a professional style. They come in a homeowner style, which is, I'm going to show you with this chain itself. So with this chain, the anatomy of the chain is this. So you have the cutter, you have the raker, or the depth gauge. And on the homeowner style, you'll notice that there's a little ramp that's here. Okay, can you see that ramp? Okay, if I close this down, you can see that secondary tooth that's right here. Okay, this aids in less kickback. It's a little smoother because this rakes. If you'll notice on this saw, it's on this chain itself, that second chain is not there. It's just the hook. It's just the raker itself. Okay, these file vastly different than these do. Okay, this happens to be a pro chainsaw. This is an X-Cut from Husqvarna, but this is a .325 gauge chain itself. So you have to understand there is a necessity to understand that the difference between 50, 52, and 63, whatever the gauge itself, you have to get off of the nomenclature of the bar. You have to also, on the bar, on the saw itself, there is a sprocket. Okay, some will have a drive clutch, some will have a sprocket like this. My saws all have sprockets like this, and this just happens to be a 3/8 by 7. Okay, and this is a drive sprocket. So if you're going to change this saw, which initially came with .325 to a 3/8, a larger cutter, larger diameter cutter, you have to not only change the bar, but you have to change the sprocket. That's a whole nother level. way beyond what you're doing. You just need to understand that when you go in to buy a chain for these, you have to understand on the side of the bar, there is nomenclature that is written on the side, and you have to provide that. When you go on the wall at the big box stores, they just have a 16-inch chain that says it on the front of the box. But on the side of the box, it tells you all the nomenclature. It's 50 gauge at 68 drive length at .325 or 3/8. Okay? You have to understand that, and you have to understand the type of cutter, whether it is a full chisel chain, whether it is a semi-chisel, okay, or whether it is a square cut. You have to understand that. I might get into that later on. But the other thing that you'll understand, that when you buy the saw, you should probably buy a set of files to file this chain, okay, when you're out in the field. So there's two files that you have to have. One is around for the cutter, so that it fits in the cutter, and the other one is for the Raker bar itself. I have all of my tools into this little thing right here. I also have my scrunch. That's what this is called, a scrunch. I have a couple of them that are all over the place. And I also have this one. And come on, where are you? Where are you? Here it is. Okay, these style. So this will go on the chain. Okay. I don't use this that much. But what this will do is this will help you to file the chain at the proper angle. This is for a .325. So you can, I don't know if you can see on there or not. So it says .325. This is a 3/8. This will not fit onto here. And I've done this long enough to where I can understand and know how I need to file this. But this is a Raker gauge that you can get. This just happens to be from Oregon. Okay, this one's just about worn out. I've worn this down pretty far. But this is 25 thou, so that when you cut the cutter, you also need to file the Raker itself. So this is designed to fit over the tooth, okay, to get to this Raker itself, to get to this depth gauge so that it doesn't cut. So these are down pretty well. But these are the tools that you understand, that when I just bought this saw. Okay, I spent whatever it is I spent on whatever saw it is. I'm coming home with a helmet, I'm coming home with fuel, I'm coming home with chainsaw chaps, I'm coming home with a scabbard. Don't buy a saw without a box or some type of scabbard. I like scabbards myself because I can just take the saw, and it's very simple to do. Make sure you get a scabbard. I need to get another one because it's worn out itself. Develop a rapport with your power equipment dealer. Get the necessary tools so that when you leave that power equipment dealer, you have some type of rapport. They know you, who you are. So when you walk in the door and say, hey man, I need a new chain, or I need this sharpened. Okay, can you sharpen this for me? Yep, we'll get to you as soon as we can. Typically, some of them might have just a machine that's there at the dealership itself, so they just stick it on there and away you go. But you have to understand that it's just not $500 for a saw. It's $500 for the saw, or $600, whatever the amount is that you have designated for the saw itself. But you also have to understand that there's a whole other plethora of things that goes along with your first saw. So what's the other glaring question that you've asked yourself? What do I buy? What's the best saw that's out there? There's a lot of brands out there. You have to understand what your needs are. I've chosen Husqvarna over Stihl. One, because I got excellent service from my power equipment dealer. Two, there are certain aspects of Husqvarna that I prefer over the Stihl. One is the trigger itself. The feel of the anti-vibration system that's out there. all of these saws nowadays, all are right on the cutting edge. So whatever brand that you end up buying, you have to understand that the pro saws are all going to be about the same so far as in performance themselves. There are certain things as you, as the sawyer, will learn about your saw. So when a still guy picks up a Husqvarna and goes, this thing's a piece of junk, it's too heavy, it's this, it's that. And when the Husqvarna guy picks up the still, it's like, come on, man, get with the program. And the poor Echo guys are kind of left out by the side. But look into your power equipment dealer. Look into the other brands. Look into Solo. Look into Makita. Their gas saws are very nice. And understand what your needs are. Okay? If you're a guy that's just going to stick a saw on the side of an ATV, you don't need a 372. But if you're a guy that's going to be homesteading, maybe a 372 or larger bar. Okay? 90% of your work can be done with a 16-inch bar. Everybody goes, oh, I need a 20-inch bar. Oh, I need a, you know, you see guys out there with 36-inch bars. Those guys are cutting real big stuff. That's real heavy stuff. But for a homesteader guy, 16-inch, 18-inch bar is typically what you can really get through with 90% of the stuff. So hopefully this is helpful. I know it's been a long video itself, but if you have any questions, please put them down below. If you like the content, please throw me a subscription. And if you really liked it, share it out. So if there's anything that I failed to mention or bring up, please drop them down below. Thanks for your time. Hopefully this has helped you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And if there's a bunch of other questions that I have failed to answer, I'll come up with another one. But happy shopping. Buy them all, absolutely. There's no right or wrong. It's just where you lay in the whole path of buying your saw. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Go out and cut some wood and be safe. Thanks. Bye-bye.